Hi, and welcome to today's video, which will be a bit of a mix, because this is the first time that I'm trying to record audio separately from the video, and I have an old Zoom recorder that I got for field recordings about 11 years ago or so. We used it, I don't remember if we used it on Konkurs by Leifler, but I know that we definitely used it on Decadence, because I held it in my hand when we made some sounds, like we had a branch that we walked next to, like guardrails to some stairs to a basement, not very far away from Jonas' apartment back then in Strömstad. And I'm also using the red microphone, which I use for Kall and hypothermia otherwise, for vocals and room setups to capture that kind of sound. So I've gotten a few questions since last week, and first of all I'm going to address how my Patreon is set up. For now I'm backtracking because I'm 3 months behind, kind of, since I started this in March, and my goal is to make at least 2 videos a month that is paid content, and then I will try to get in something extra between that. And with this video I'm just trying a bit different equipment and seeing what I feel most comfortable with and what I like the sound of and so on. And in this beginning I'm not charging for these general videos with questions and answers and general information, but the next video, which is an interview video I made with a friend a year ago, that will be free too, because I want to introduce more content to more visitors, watchers and followers, so you can really feel that you have enough to make up your mind if this is something you want to support, which I really hope you do, because I want to do a lot more than this, and I want to do also more of this. So in the beginning now I will be doing some comments and questions and answers for you, and also after this I'm shooting another feature about the first release of my project Consider Suicide, called Sväva, which means levitate or to levitate, but I'll go more into that in that video. So let's see here. Well, it's a beautiful morning here in Sweden. It's the 10th of March 2019, and I've been home from Mexico about 1.5 months now, and there was some snow when I got back. Then it disappeared and it was mostly rain. Then it returned for yesterday, and then it rained again just when I decided to walk out in the forest and photograph it. And as you can hear on the road now, there is some wet and moisture, but and it's beautiful snow outside, but I'm not sure how long it will last. The weather this year is so far really strange. It's one of few winters in the last decade that's been this little snow for me. So I feel a bit melancholic, but in another way it's fitting because I'm inspired, and I've written a couple of new songs the past week. And with this kind of weather I also feel like it's appropriate to get into my deep dives about veins and the shield. So those are the next videos you can expect this month, because those will be recorded this week, so I don't have to stress each week with making content. It's better for you to have me think about everything properly for a couple of weeks, and then I can feel confident and sure that I'm giving you something that I'm not rushing, but that I feel content with sharing. And that's why it's taken me a whole year from getting some of this equipment to really start this, because I've been thinking a lot about what kind of content that I wanted to share with you, and what I can give to those that support me, to motivate or inspire them to perhaps give a bit more than what they would for something simple as a postcard or a patch or a shirt or something, because this is not about that really. It's not about getting something physical in return, but to share and experience and embrace creativity for what it is, which is a means of sharing what's within you and beyond you. And to me that's just something that I want to do a lot more of. And I compose maybe 2 or so piano albums and 2 or so guitar-based albums each year. But as you may have noticed the past years, it's rare for me to release more than one of them by each project. So, in other words, together we can make it possible to get a lot more out of each other. I know that I won't have enough time or energy or resources for that matter, because I have specific concepts for the next albums of all my projects, what kind of equipment that I need to update my studio with. So I wouldn't be able to do that this year, but with your help and a lot of my own effort, of course. So I could do it by myself, but I think I can make about 50% faster, at least with your help, to next year maybe have a little challenge for myself and my friends that I make music with, to give you 1 song a week with some behind the scenes and making of. for those of you that follow me and subscribe to my different channels. But that's next year. But no one says I can't start by the end of the year. But for that I would really rely on you. But more about that later. So today I'll answer your first questions. Because soon I'm sharing a release together with one of my friends in Mexico, Hector, who has self-mutilation services, and he will release so far my first ever compilation of something, which is something I've thought about for many years, but I'm not a big fan of the concept. But I feel now, when my different projects are going in different directions and something new is really happening with many of them, it's a good time to close that chapter for real. So it's a compilation album with several unreleased songs, but also some chosen material from split releases that is out of print and will definitely not be reprinted for several reasons, both professional and personal. And one of the songs featured in that compilation is called Julia, from the 4-split vinyl with my friend Trist, my friend in Regnum, and a band called Grimmer, I think. That was some contact of Jan's, of Trist, that he wanted on it, so sure, why not? It fit on that vinyl. And it's a very close friend of mine, which I've known for pretty much half my life, and sometimes it's the kind of person that I don't have contact with every day or week or even every month for that sake. We have had even years without contact, but it's the kind of person where you know that it's someone that's a part of your life and that you can trust. And of course we have had our differences over the years, most friendships do. But yeah, it's an important person for me, and back when the song was composed and recorded, that was even more so the matter. So that's why that individual has a song. There are a few other persons that have been given that too, but that's for another video. And a song that was recorded about 6 months later, in the same session as Rakbladsvalsen and Sköld, was Hora, for its split with Dimhymn. And that song dealt with my frustration and emotions about not just a single person, but several kind of people that I was more or less surrounded with or parted ways with. And I needed to just get those kinds of weights off me to focus on getting out something much more useful for both me and the observers. So that's what it's about. I prefer to not go any deeper about it. I think that's enough. And on to the next question. I just need to grab something first. Here we go. Just some good old water. And then far too early to drink beer, some people would say, but on the other hand, it's always after 12 somewhere in the world, so probably in the next video. But water is very good for you too, and especially here in Sweden we're very spoiled with having fantastic drinking water. So cheers! Sorry if that sound is unpleasant to some of you, but I can assure you that it's better than me having a dry mouth. And I'll do my best to avoid making too many weird sounds for you, because this is not some kind of ASMR feature, though if that's something that more people would request, I will perhaps consider it. But for now, let's get back to the next question, which is why I had to restart the camera, because it will require maybe my next battery, because it's more in depth, and it's about favorite artists. And well, I can't really say that I have any if it comes to inspiration for what I do. But on the other hand, I would be lying if I said that I didn't have some artists or releases of other musicians that I don't really appreciate, or that I won't share with people if I'm visiting their place. So for now I can say definitely when you ask me this kind of question, I feel I've mentioned my past enough times, so I won't mention that now, but that will be another video if the interview with my friend that I'm posting along with this isn't enough, or if you simply don't feel like watching that interview. I will do my best to recapture some parts of it in another video for you. But the most interesting releases personally for me as a musician, and also as someone that really loves to analyze compositions and how things are produced, which is something I can get really nerdy about, is the works of a British composer, Claire M. Singer, who I really appreciate the works of, and I recommend that you get her album and EP that's available through most channels. It's out on a label called Touch. It's really beautiful organ music, very abstract and sometimes minimalistic, but it's far from minimalist. There's a lot going on, it's really immersive, and you would be at a loss if you don't experience it yourself, I think. And it's wonderful for meditation. And the second artist, another female solo artist and composer that I've listened to a lot the past year when I've been painting, is Demen, who made her first album called Nectar very recently, or about a year ago, and it's not completely instrumental, it's with really well made atmospheric vocals, but it's the kind where you're not really listening for the lyrics, you're just tilting your head back and embrace that kind of emptiness that it gives you. It's really something else. And that's pretty much it for the past year or so. And there are no painters that I look at or watch or follow, really. I'm not really interested in art as an observer, but I'm addicted to creating it myself. And I'm sorry if I sound arrogant when saying that, but that's just the simple truth. I'm not interested in going to exhibitions or things like that, but I do admire great illustrators or painters, and I do follow about a dozen or so of them on some social media, but I can do a feature about that some other time. And the next question that remains was how and why I started producing music. Why is simply because I don't really know anything about it when it comes to the technical parts of it, but I dare to say, good intuition. I know atmosphere when I feel it and hear it and see it. So that's a bit more what I bring into this kind of art and subculture or subgenre. Because I usually don't touch an instrument before the concept and composition is finished in my head, which is something that happens when I'm out walking in the forest. Or just on the countryside roadworks for that sake too, but I'll show that to you another time, that in the way that I'm living, that's pretty much the same thing. There is nature everywhere where I live, and that's a very conscious choice that I made, because I couldn't live any other way, especially not living creatively. And how? Well, it's pretty much like most musicians or home studios. You start with getting some kind of interface or sound interface system to pick up your channel, and for me that was a 4-track tape recorder, and the cheapest microphones I could find at some music store, which was terrible, which I learned quickly. So by the second or third release that I made, I had at least bought decent like standard Shure microphones that works for getting the drums and the guitars more evenly without a layer of white noise. I don't mind noise coming from the tape itself or from the atmosphere or the room, but I think we all can agree that when it comes from the microphone, it's just not it's not the same thing. It doesn't add atmosphere, instead it can usually just draw from it instead. And in the first years, when I couldn't afford buying a decent computer or sound card or something like that, I borrowed equipment from friends. The second demo and the first album with Hypothermia was recorded with I think it was an 8-track digital recorder. I'm not sure about the brand, but I borrowed it first from my first drummer, and incidentally my friend Jonas had the very same recorder that he used for Dimhim, and we also recorded Pulver by Life Lover on that interface, and that's what we brought with us up to the Viken outside of Östersund when we recorded Sköld and Raklåsvalsen with my friend Nachtzeit of Lustre, or Luster, whichever you do. And yeah, back then I don't remember if we used 2 or 4 microphones. I think it was just 2. I made many recordings that way, and I think it works pretty well when it comes to making something more minimalistic, and especially when it's instrumental. I put one microphone closer to the drums and one closer to the guitar, and we recorded that live, and then when we mix it I do copies of both of those channels and just adjust the EQ a bit and see if it needs a little reverb on the drums, for example, to increase the feeling of the room a bit. And then after that I added vocals if there was any lyric for the song, and until 2008 that was how I recorded my music. And then I changed some of the members in the lineup because Nachtzeit needed to do some other things, and I was able to get a new rehearsal space on an island with my second guitarist Johannes, who I'll make sure to have a proper interview with sooner than later that you can watch, because we have many interesting and nice things to talk about. And he had a different recorder with some more inputs, and he and I together had some more microphones, and at that point I had gotten some extra things too. So when we recorded Gråtoner, we were able to get a bit deeper and darker and heavier sound, which of course helps having the second guitar, since we still recorded everything of the music live. The only thing that I have ever in the past albums added afterwards were the vocals, to just preserve clarity and quality to some extent. And that was recorded not on the island where we rehearsed, but in the countryside, about 30 minutes from where I'm now, at my previous drummer's father's place. We had a room on the second floor of his house where we recorded that, but that's another video. Because this is a Q&A, not about Gråtoner or about my interactions with other members. And I've been to a couple of studios over the years, of course, and had some different rehearsal spaces with Live Flower and after that Cal, and same with Hypothermia. So I only have some extra microphones and better knowledge how to use them and how to make a mix. And I will talk a bit more about that on the video that's about Svampt 4 Varakumbla, because I recorded that myself in the rehearsal space and studio of Cal up in Stockholm through the equipment that I have set up here for this, except of course I'm not using more than one microphone for this, because it would be ridiculous to have 6 or 8 microphones surrounding me. Could look interesting, but I don't think it would add to anything. Sorry if I'm speaking a bit slow for some of you, or if I didn't answer something that you wanted to know about these things. Let me know and I'll be happy to get deeper into that. And as always, thank you for watching, and please subscribe and share this to whomever you feel would be interested in this. And if you're interested in supporting me to make more content and more kinds of content, please check out the Patreon. Everything is linked in the description below this video. Take care.